Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. So this is a stryfe. We've done lots of stryfes on the channel before, but let's turn it into the absolute nicest stryfe, not only on this channel, but in general. How do we make the absolute coolest stryfe ever? Well, it begins with a few special parts, but before we do any of that, we're going to have to break down literally everything. There were batteries in this guy? Lol, what? That's crazy. Anyway, got the batteries, and let's talk about the parts that we're going to be installing. So, this is going to be just an awesome stryfe because of these. These are unique to me. A good buddy of mine made these for me. These are crystalline clear red stryfe parts. Now we're going to shine lights through them. I doubt we'll be using these micro LEDs that he included. I have something a little bit different in mind, but that's an excellent backup. And then, since we're using... We're pulling out all the stops for this one, guys. There's nothing being spared. We need this motor cover, which will allow us, after we install it here, to have a completely clear polycarbonate window in front of it. And that is going to be spicy times. Now, before we do anything else, I do want to talk about what we're going to install in this. And those who have been watching for a while will understand that the beating heart of this is just insanely special. Oh yeah, that's right, Für Drac. German newspaper and number 13. You didn't think I forgot about it, did you guys? No, of course not. We're going to be installing the Dr. Snicka's number 13 flywheel cage setup into this, and I'm so excited to get started. Let's set everything aside and start gutting. Oh yeah, this is gonna look cool. This is gonna look really cool, guys. So we isolated that pin, and this is why we put aluminum siding on And that's how it's done, guys. Perfect, flush, voltmeter placement. Only 2 tools necessary. That's insanely cool. Alright, so this is me lightly prototyping the circuit, our switch, and our resistance, but right now we're focused on the bodywork itself. So this is about round 1 of sanding done, and a lot of things are where I want them to be. These grip panels have been completely removed of their kind of checkerboard pattern, which is ideal. We don't quite have all of the digicam off, so we have to come back in round 2 and make sure we touch that up. Everything else is starting to take on that nice chalky sort of texture. That means that the paint's going to adhere very well. The grip itself is in good shape. This is about where I want logo removal to be, and you can see that on this side it is not quite there. Now let's talk about some of the shell modifications. This hole was done specifically to put wires through so that our XT60 connector has plenty of room to breathe in here, and then this hole is strategically located so that our lightwork switch, which is of course this size right here, will fit exactly in there. And that's an awesome friction fit. Like, that is a perfectly sized hole, and we accomplished that by using these micro files up here, but that's going to be very clicky and very responsive. That's exactly where we want that. Of course, we can't have it installed during painting. And then this is the real bread and butter. What makes this a very special modification is going to need to be plastic like solvent welded into place, and then that solvent weld will be needing sanding on the outside. But this is a motor cover that eventually will mount clear polycarbonate on top of it, and that'll allow us to fit 180 motors inside this monster. Should be a ton of fun. Let's keep going with the bodywork. We'll get there eventually. Well, this methacrylate adhesive is going to need a full day to cure, but it's on, it's solid, and it looks really, really good. I think that we're going to be in good shape here. So I figured while we were waiting on some of this putty to cure, we would start on the 180 motor cage and really get it set up. And we're going to be setting it up with some of the toughest motors around. These are XP180s, and I think that we're just going to set up the loom for them right now. But let's get that ready. I'll show you how it's. Alright guys, so with the bodywork for Sanguine done, we need to start working on the paint job. Now, to start with, we're going to be using a very thin coat of duplicolor vinyl dye, and this stuff is great for base coats, and it's going to let us paint the inside without any muss, fuss, or problems, which is exactly what we need. With all the light coming through and the fact that this will eventually be clear going through, we absolutely need not to have blue showing or putty showing. So this is going to get us to a very consistent base coat, and then we can start working with some metallic enamel. To talk about now. What's been done so far is a base coat of black vinyl dye, obviously. Then we taped off this window while simultaneously taping off the entirety of the handle. So the handle will be black eventually, but it'll have an enamel red hydro dipped scale on the side, simulating almost like a pistol grip. Then I taped off around this stripe, but not perfectly. You can see that there's overspray, and hit this with silver enamel. Then I gave that a day to cure. It's been that day, and I came back in, and after it was fully cured, I taped off the silver stripe. So you can't actually see the silver stripe right now, but it's time to put on a base coat of red enamel. Now the logic there is that if I put red enamel on now and then peel this off, I can have the hydro dip film not only cover and make vampiric pattern on the red, but also this silver stripe. So there will be a much subtler contest. Instead of like metallic red, metallic silver, it'll be metallic red and silver, both kind of overplayed by the darkening effect of the film. And it takes a long time to tape things off properly like this. That's it. Let's go get some red enamel. Alrighty, so still can't take this tape off because we don't want it to get hydro dipped, but we can come in and tease this off, and hopefully we have like a really clean silver racing stripe, and I think that is exactly what we're gonna get. Oh no, the tape tore halfway in. It's okay. I really just want this line to be clean, and then we can come in . Done, and I think it looks really hot, but my man Avery over at Custom 3D Nerf hooked me up with some more vinyl logos right before we put on the proper kind of clear coat for this. So we're going to slap one here and one here where the original Nerf logos were. And of course it wouldn't be complete without a name, so one of these names belongs to this blaster. I think it's going to be spicy. It's going to look really good. Alrighty, so vinyl logos are installed. And I decided to only put one Nerf logo on because this was just such a cool shot where the vampire is coming up like this that I couldn't bear to cover it up. So this is what it looks like. We've got the Sanguine name here, and then one here which is much subtler, and then a tiny one on this grip plate, and then I didn't put one on this grip plate for much the same reason. There's just like a really cool picture on that one. So these are ready to go. I wanted to talk briefly about the clear that I'm using. This is 2K clear. It's actually a two-stage automotive lacquer, and it works like this. This is the bottom cap, and this keyring is going to come out like so. You're going to insert the keyring into here, and then you're actually going to use that to yank down, which will deploy an activator into the can, and then it'll be good. It only lasts for about a day after activating. Really, you only get about 2 good hours of use out of it, but it is a chemically reactive lacquer, so it should be much stronger, much cooler. I'm very, very excited to try this out on this very special project already. So this is about 2 hours after clear coat. You can see that it's now dry to the touch, but still has like a slight slickness to it, which is why you give it the full 24 hours to cure. These vinyl logos are now locked down safe, and they look awesome. I am so excited to start putting guts in this for you. Alrighty guys, so we are pretty far into this project. We had to wire a micro LED in here. These are all exactly where we want them. I will actually come in here and show you what these are going to look like, but this is about 5 hours of work, and it all leads up to this. Hopefully this is gonna be worth it. Oh gosh, I'm so tired. So I want this thing to glow no matter what, not just when the LEDs are on, which means it's going to need something special. So these are tritium vials that I have been saving for a very special occasion. What I think we're going to do with them is lock them in underneath the clear cage right here and right here. And that's going to give it just an extra special touch that nobody's even tried before. That's going to be really, really neat and very subtle all at the same time. Alright, so you guys are kind of getting a preview of the prototyping process, but the Snickers cage was shorting the lightwork circuit, so luckily we left plenty of slack in here, and we should be able to get it all back together. Now if the lights go out at any point in this process, and I think I've corrected the error so they shouldn't, then that means that I didn't correct the error, and we're host. I really want this to work. I'd love to get some sleep. Alright, so those are ready, but they're not actually in the right place. So you have to start locking them down. And this will be the real test, is if the lights stay on while we screw in the aluminum cage, that proves that everything is going to be okay. And so far, so good. You do have to be like really careful when putting in these screws because the motors are so powerful. The neodymium magnets inside want to grab the screws and pull them up and under. I kid you not, that is happening. Or it has happened a few times. You also have to be really careful that you don't have like little specks of magnetic metal around so that doesn't pick up. But that looks good. I think that we're home free now. This is also installed and very clicky down here. So still no mechanicals, but the blaster finally does everything that we need it to do with full prototyping. You can see that a click of the switch down here lights up everything in the blaster and activates the voltmeter. If we actually fully engage it, you can see that the switch itself is lighted, and that is what it's all about, guys. That's going to be cool. So the only other thing worth mentioning at this point is that this is a worker stryfe pusher. I honestly don't think that there's really any difference between these two, especially considering that you're using a lot of the original parts with the extension spring and whatnot being present. But I installed it because I had it and it's black, so it matches. Why not? Go figure. Alright, so it wouldn't be complete without a graphene battery and an ultra sweet silver thumb screw, which means that this project, with over probably like about 100 hours of work into it now, is finally done. So worth it. Let's take it outside. So, if ever a blaster deserved a nighttime firing demo, it is certainly the Sanguine. Now, that said, the tritium vials require no power. They always look this good. They are just that cool. Tritium is awesome. I think I'm the only nerfer working with tritium, and that makes this all the more unique and special. Gives us a little bit of a peek into that flywheel cage, but what makes it even easier to check out is this. So with that, the blaster's heart comes to life, and you can really see how bloodthirsty this monster is. But as good as it looks, all lit up and at night, even with a not even close to fully topped off voltmeter or lipo inside, you can tell that this blaster is a house. It's really a primary. This is a tier 0 and then some stryfe, but it's even cooler that it performs just as well. The Snickers cage and the XP 180s just can't be beat. Must have only had 5 in here. That is absolutely hot. Let's go back to the overview. Alrighty guys, so I'd like to introduce you to Sanguine. This is my tier 0 stryfe. It's insane. It's got more going on than any other stryfe I've ever seen, and we'll break it down. We'll start with the external, starting with the paint job. The paint job is a combination of red and black with a metallic kind of silver dusting, which gives it that really shiny feel, all underneath a 2K clear coat, which is just the toughest clear coat finish I've seen anywhere, and protects these vinyl logos where it says Sanguine here, here, and here, as well as the Drac logo, which is disguised. It looks a lot like the Nerf logo, but it isn't. All of that is done by my good friend Avery, who made the logos, and then it's all underneath that 2K, so it's never going anywhere. It's permanently attached. Now, if you're wondering where the vampires come from, that is all hydrographic imaging. I have a full video tutorial on that I'll be sharing shortly after this one, but other than that, there is a full 3D printed edition here, extending the motor cage to accommodate these 180 motors, with a clear window so that you can see inside to not only the lightwork, but the shiny Dr. Snickers flywheel cage. Now, there's also a tritium vial up top here and here, which illuminates this cage regardless of batteries being inside or the blaster being illuminated. That's a really cool feature. No other Nerf gun other than the other one that I've made is radioactive, and the tritium makes this a truly one-of-a-kind piece. I then installed 180 Pro motors into the Dr. Snickers flywheel cage. It is, of course, my Snickers number 13 cage, appropriate because there are, in fact, 13 LEDs inside. 14 if you count the one that's outside in this button itself, which does light up. But the 180 Pros themselves are normally green. I painted them silver so that they would match the cage. And then my good buddy Ben not only did the crystalline red parts cast for me, but also brought me a special stub of aluminum to protect the brass coming off of the Snickers cage. If you look down the barrel, you can see brass on the inside and then aluminum as the sheath itself. That, of course, meshes very nicely with the Snickers cage itself, which is lathed and machined aluminum. Now, as we move through, there is, of course, a new thumb screw, which protects the graphene battery hiding inside, all of which is covered by the stock stryfe battery door, which has been sanded inside and then hydro-dipped outside. Other modifications to the shell itself include a cutout window back here for a voltmeter, which desperately needs to be charged, but you can see that that illuminates with red light and looks very, very good. The other hole down here accommodates this push push button switch, which is an on-off switch depending upon how you press it, and it's an illuminated red push button switch. You can't see the light work now, but you'll be able to see it at night. It truly has to be appreciated at night, as it is a subtle glow to simulate almost like a heartbeat or a pulse going on inside the Sanguine. I like using the clear orange clip, not only because it's clear and the light kind of glows through it, but also because it's now the only orange on this blaster, which is important. Blaster has 13 LEDs integrated, which I've already mentioned, but gives it that pulsing glow, and that pretty much covers the aesthetics. That was actually quite easy, as I don't add any kind of like weird releases or anything. This one is of course unique, but it's modeled after the original Hasbro one, so no surprises there. The vampire film just turned out immaculate. Seeing Nosferatu, the vampire itself, not my blaster Nosferatu, jump across this blaster and fly through with all of the bat prints just really makes it obvious that this blaster belongs to none other than the Nerf vampire Drac himself. But none of that would matter if it didn't hit like a tank. This is primary class performance. It's actually hitting harder than most primaries in a super compact secondary package. And let's just show you what we mean there. There's nothing to it but to do it. So and that must be all of our darts, but what a house. It's hitting very hard despite the lipo being depleted. The Snickus cage is giving you very tight groupings up there on our target. If we amped up the lipo fully, we'd probably be denting the cardboard box, which would be bad because I need that cardboard box to paint more awesome secondaries and primaries. But that is my Sanguine. It's my current secondary. I love it very, very much. I can't think of anything else I could have done to make this blaster even cooler. It literally has accomplished and exceeded every single goal that I had for the project. I wanted something that was stunning at night, performed flawlessly, and looked great regardless of lighting conditions. So it looks great during the daytime because of the paint job and hydrographics, and it looks immaculate at night because of the tritium and the LED work. It's truly just a very, very special blaster, and I'm so excited to share it with you. I hope you guys really appreciate this. It's a ton of work. It's probably the most work I've put into a secondary ever, easily. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed.